Scoring: MJ 10, LeBron 9. So here's why I'm giving MJ a full point edge in scoring. Now MJ was an incredible scorer. From his finishing ability combined with his athleticism combined with his knockdown mid-range shot, he was unstoppable at times. Although his three-point shot was never really great, let's go to the numbers to see the scorer Michael Jordan really was. MJ has a career average of 30 points per game, and his highest scoring season was in 1987 with an unreal average of 37 points per night. Of the 15 seasons MJ played, he won an unbelievable 10 scoring titles, which means he led the league in scoring that year 10 times, or 2/3 of his seasons in his career. He also scored 30 points per game or more in 8 total seasons, or more than half of his career. Something else to consider is minutes per game, because the more minutes you play, the more you can score. Looking at that, we see MJ has a career average of 0.79 points per minute, and his best season in 1987 was at a mind-boggling 0.93 points per minute. That is almost unheard of, averaging nearly 40 minutes a night, and also scoring close to 1 point per minute, while also dishing out almost 5 assists a night. That is some serious scoring ability. Let's compare him to LeBron, who as we all know is also a phenomenal scorer in his own right. With his 6'9" frame and skill, he can knock down threes, post up and fade, finish like it's nothing, and dunk with ease. His one quote-unquote weakness per se could be looked at as free throws, even though it's still at a solid 73.5% for his career. But other than that, he can essentially score from anywhere at any time. Going to the numbers and comparing him to MJ, he has a career average of 27 points per game, and his best season was in 2006 with a 31 points per game average. He won one scoring title in 2008 and scored 30 points per game or more in 2 of his seasons. Looking at minutes per game, his career average is at 0.7 points per minute, and his best season in 2006 had him at 0.74 points per minute. I believe that any way you slice it, MJ is a better scorer than LeBron. Also keep in mind that MJ played a total of 2 seasons less than LeBron has so far, which really says something when you see MJ has 9 more scoring titles with higher averages all across the board. I believe that's enough to give MJ a full point advantage in scoring. Defense: MJ 9.5, LeBron 8. Starting again with MJ, we see he stood at 6'6" with a 6'11" wingspan. He won his one and only Defensive Player of the Year in the 1987-88 NBA season. His career averages for defensive stats are as follows. He averaged 2.3 steals per game and 0.8 blocks per game, with his best defensive season being unironically in 1988, where he averaged 3.2 steals per game and 1.6 blocks per game. That is some serious defensive talent, and it's why he's known as one of the best top perimeter defenders of all time. Going back to LeBron, we see he has a career average of 1.6 steals per game and 0.8 blocks per game, and his best seasons defensively were in 2005 for steals with a 2.2 steals per game average, and 2008 and 9 where he averaged 1.1 blocks per game. That still makes him a good to great defender, as he can defend the perimeter and rim well with just his sheer quickness and size alone. Now some may say that LeBron is a more versatile defender, as he can better defend all 5 positions and has played center. But that makes it worse for his case, due to supposedly guarding the rim on more occasions, yet averaging the exact same blocks per game as Jordan for a career, and 0.5 blocks per game less than Jordan in their best seasons. To LeBron's credit, however, he's only 12 spots behind MJ in terms of defensive box plus minus all time, so I do recognize that. But you also see that MJ not only had 4 more first-team all-defensive selections, but had a Defensive Player of the Year award compared to LeBron, who had none, and on top of all that, MJ always defended the opposing team's best player, whereas LeBron only does that on rare occasions. That is clearly enough of a difference for me to give MJ a solid 1.5 edge in defense. Rebounding: MJ 6.5, LeBron 7.5. Now there's not a whole lot to say for either player in this category. First again with MJ, we see that he was a good rebounder for his size and position. His career average is at 6.2 rebounds per game, and his best rebounding season was in 1989 where he put up 8 rebounds a night. That is insane, being a shooting guard averaging that many rebounds a night, and his career average is still pretty good. Now to LBJ, we see he is also a great rebounder, especially even for his height and position. His career average is at 7.4 rebounds per game, and his best seasons were in 2017 and 18, where he averaged 8.6 rebounds per game respectively. He has more than a full rebound per game more than MJ for his career, and also has 4 seasons averaging 8 or more rebounds per game, where Jordan only had 1. I would give LeBron a 1.5 higher score than MJ here, but taking into account minutes per game, their best seasons indicate MJ is closer to LeBron than I first thought. As you can see, they are separated by 0.03 rebounds per minute. Their careers are 1.2 rebounds per game apart, but their best are only a 0.6 difference. With that stated, I think that's still reason enough to give LeBron only a full point edge here. Passing, MJ 6.5, LeBron 9. Starting with MJ again, we see he was a pretty decent passer. His career average is at 5.3 assists per game, and his best year was in 1989, where he averaged 8 assists per game on the dot. Even though the career numbers certainly don't indicate Jordan was an elite passer, in fact not even a whole lot above average, but that 8 assists per game really helps him in his best passing season, as that proves he could pass the rock well given the chance. Looking at LeBron's passing, this is where he can really make up some ground. He has averaged 7.4 assists per game for his career, and his career best is in this season in 2020 with an outstanding 10.6 dimes a night. Comparing the numbers at face value, I would give LeBron a full 2-point edge in passing ability. But with this past season, LeBron averaged 2.6 assists per game more than Jordan did in his best passing season in 5 less minutes per game. That may leave some to believe he deserves a full 3-point difference in passing, but do remember that their career averages are only 2.1 assists per game apart with the same minutes per game. But I do think that definitely should give LeBron the nod of a full 2.5 advantage over MJ in passing. LeBron gets a 9. Efficiency, MJ 7, LeBron 8. First with MJ, we see that he is not incredibly efficient as far as his career averages go. For his career, he has a true shooting percentage of 56.9%, which is 98th all-time in NBA history, and his best season for true shooting was in 1989 at 61.4%. His career average is certainly not bad at all, especially considering the area in which he played in, where three-pointers were not the way of scoring as we know today. His highest true shooting percentage is exceptional, as it's even over 60% in the pre-3-point pace and space era, which is not easy to do. Back to LeBron, we see that on the all-time true shooting percentage list, he is higher than MJ. His career average is at 58.6%, which is 46th all-time, and his best true shooting season was incredibly unexpected, 64.9% in the 2014 season. That really took me off guard, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. You usually only see centers or big men who mainly shoot open layups or dunks in that range, but LeBron did it as a forward in the modern era. Incredible. With that said though, his career average is not super high, but he is still top 50 all-time in true shooting percentage. However, another thing to mention is that they played in different eras, where back in Jordan's day, it was not as easy to score efficiently due to less emphasis in three-point shots. Also, we see Jordan scored more points per game over his career, and that makes it even more difficult to maintain a high true shooting percentage. The gap is smaller, but I'm still giving LeBron a full point edge here, so he gets an 8. Leadership, MJ 10, LeBron 10. Now that we're halfway through the 10 main categories, let's switch it up and start with LeBron. Concerning leadership, there aren't many players in the history of the game that can match up with LeBron. He not only leads his teams with his scoring and passing, but is verbally the heart and soul of all the teams he has played on. He even has taken on the coaching role to an extent at times, especially with his time in Cleveland. He calls out plays, orchestrates the offense, and even on defense tells others what to do and knows what he's doing due to his astronomically high basketball IQ. Because of this, Anything under a 10 for LeBron would simply be an insult, so I'm giving LBJ a 10 for leadership, no doubt. Going to MJ, we can see that he too was one of the greatest leaders of the teams that he played on. He led his teams through his scoring abilities, but also through his mentality. We all know the intensity Michael Jordan played with, and that of course made him motivate his teammates to aspire for greatness. Of course, it may have come with its downsides, like getting into a few altercations or disagreements with a teammate from time to time, but can I really fault him for that? Arguing with others is a part of the game, for any player or coach for that matter. Also, MJ always took the last second shot or orchestrated who would on some rare occasions, and came through for his team many more times than not. That is pure leadership excellence, and so I'm also giving MJ a 10 for leadership. Underrated or special abilities, MJ 9.5, LeBron 9. Starting once again with LeBron, he has a couple of qualities. First, for underrated, I think we have to look at the fact that he is essentially almost a complete player, literally. Aside from free throws, there is no one other aspect of the game you can really say he has a weakness in. Even then, as I previously mentioned, it's not a huge weakness in free throws. He's essentially almost a full and complete player with no need for particular improvement in any other area. Going to his special abilities, I point to his insanely high basketball IQ. As I mentioned in the last category, his IQ is just about one of the highest in NBA history on both sides of the floor. He's the floor general on the offensive side and almost like a watchtower on defense on the other, calling out for what his troops should do. That alone is pretty damn special. Back to MJ, looking at his underrated abilities, I would look to the fact that he not only guarded the opposing team's best player, most times by his own willpower, but then also scored an insane amount of points on the other end. The amount of exertion and energy that requires is really hard to truly take in and appreciate, especially when you consider MJ has a 38 minutes per game career average. In 1988, when he won Defensive Player of the Year, he still scored 35 points per game, which is the highest of any Defensive Player of the Year winner in NBA history. If that doesn't shock you, you must be from a different world. But anyways, that is insane enough in and of itself. Going to his special abilities, you probably knew I was going there, it's his clutch gene. It's not just his ability to knock down that last second jump shot with no fear, it's his clutch performances, and MJ came through whenever his team needed him to. Whether he's the clutchest player of all time could be up for debate, but I honestly believe he is. Both those things considered, I believe it's enough to give MJ a slight edge here, a 0.5 difference, because no one even comes close to having both of these abilities that MJ had, whereas someone like Magic Johnson had a similar passing and IQ ability to LeBron before him, so I'm giving Jordan a slightly higher 9.5. Accolades, MJ 10, LeBron 9. Going to accolades with LeBron, where do I even start? In 17 total seasons, LeBron James is a 3-time NBA champion, a 3-time Finals MVP, a 4-time regular season MVP, a 16-time All-Star with 3 All-Star MVPs, a 12-time All-NBA member of the first team, a 2-time member of the All-NBA second team, a 1-time member of the third team, a 5-time member of the All-NBA defensive first team, a 1-time member of the All-NBA defensive second team, was the 2004 Rookie of the Year, was of the 2004 Rookie All-First team, and is a 1-time NBA scoring champion. Those are some serious accomplishments. There's no need to even debate why that deserves a 9.5. Looking at MJ, we see an incredible list of accomplishments as well. In 15 total seasons, MJ is a 6-time NBA champion, a 6-time NBA Finals MVP, was a 5-time regular season MVP, was a 10-time NBA scoring champion, was the Defensive Player of the Year in 1988, won Rookie of the Year in 1985, was a member of his first team in his all-rookie class, is a 14-time All-Star with 3 All-Star Game MVPs, is a 3-time steals leader, a 2-time minutes per game leader, was a 10-time member of the All-NBA first team, a 1-time member of the All-NBA second team, and a 9-time member of the All-NBA defensive first team. That is about as good as it gets concerning accolades. The only question is who to give the edge to, and I believe it's MJ. Jordan played 2 seasons less, with having 1 more MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, more defensive team selections, 9 more scoring champion awards, was a 3-time steals leader, he has the minutes per game leader twice. Just all across the board, Jordan seems to have more accomplishments in less seasons played. Also, not to mention, MJ has 3 more rings, and that's not even taking into consideration how many finals LeBron lost. I'm not holding that against him here. The only thing in which you could say LeBron has more is All-Star appearances and all NBA team selections, but that's an argument of longevity, which isn't the greatest argument, but I'll take it into account. Even still, it's not enough to close the gap. MJ is better in this category, so I'm giving him a full point advantage here.